Hello everyone, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. It's been quite a while since I released my last build video, but here I'm back at it again and with my tank build. So as usual, this build is for endgame trials and endgame content. So it's focused on maximum survivability and utility for the group. So this is how I build my tank for now. I'm gonna show you how I capped my stats. As you can see, we need to cap defense, awareness, and go as high as we can on crit avoidance. And obviously it's nice to have high deflect save, and hit points. So I dropped about 100k hit points to invest a lot into deflection, since I also switched my armor enchantment, but I'm gonna show you how I did it. So defense, the rating isn't capped. I need 1.5k rating, which I get from runic aura when you're running a dungeon or a trial in endgame content. The healers will bring runic auras if they're good, and so that will bring me up to 85.3% defense. Then I get another 4% defense from the blessed boots of the Herald when I'm in a group, which would put me at 89.3 defense. Then we go for awareness. I should show you guys what I'm using for my potions. I'm using Capri's, the old one, for the 10% deflection. I'm using crafted potion of deflect for 3600 deflect, and Foamer's elixir for 2000 deflection and 5% deflect save. Now I'm also using the chain of scales. None of these potions are needed for endgame content. The content is now too easy to need potions for tanks. Potions are sometimes needed for DPS, but not for tanks. So you can just run without potions and the build will be great too, if you're worried about that. Then, okay, so the awareness will go up to 63.8 when I'm in a group, thanks to the Forest Guardian's Ward Scale Mail, which will give me another 6000 in a group. But I only need 5.8k rating to cap my rating. So that would put me at 69.9% awareness. Let's say 70 for mental sake. So 70% awareness plus the 5% I get against a single enemy, which I mean in Tom and Zariel it works, besides like phase 2 in Zariel, but that's fine. So yeah, I'm at 75% awareness, and the last 15% I get it from this feed, as you know, dig in. When you dig in, you get extra 15%, putting you at 90. Obviously the big hits, you're gonna need to get them while digging in, so you're gonna have those extra stats. Then we have crit avoidance. My crit avoidance is missing 1.5k rating to reach the cap, and I get it from Magistrate's Patient. When I receive a critical strike, but pay attention, it says damage from a critical strike, but it's actually when you receive a critical strike. So it works on both critical heals and critical damage received, which will mean it will always proc when you're in a group. It just has a 10 seconds cooldown with a 5 seconds uptime, so just 50% uptime at the end. It gives you crit avoidance and gives your teammates defense, so it's a really good bonus to have. And I rely on that to cap my crit avoidance, but even if it's not capped, like, it doesn't mean you'll get a one shot. I'm just trying to maximize the amount of stats that you can get from all sources. So my crit avoidance would be at 66.7, considering the bonus from Magistrate's Patient. And while digging in, you also get this other bonus whenever you're blocking. So either the dig in or the normal block is 10% extra crit avoidance, which would put me at 76.7% crit avoidance. Then I'm at 63.7% deflect. This particular stat is not floating. It doesn't change when you're in a group or not. It only gets buffed by your potions. And deflect staff, there's not much you can do to increase this one. You could put it on your offhand, but I went for something else instead. And you can only really increase it with full Ember's Elixir. But that's how I kept my stats, and I have 1.1 million hit points, as you can see, which is a really good amount. I'm not, let's say, cheating the stats, even though it's not cheating, but you know, you can't use overloads all the time. You realistically want to be using them. For my gear, I use the turban for AoE. When there's a big group of mobs, I can pull them in with a daily. Forest Guardian Ward Scale Mail for the extra awareness it gives you, highest amount of stats you can get out of the armor. There's another armor that reduces the damage you receive by 3% after getting a big hit. That one is shit, and it also has a 30-second internal cooldown like the Bark Hide. Don't even think about using that one. Midnight Grips, most of the time you're damaging the enemy and sometimes the enemy will hit back. Zariel and Alistair are not so fast at attacking you, so you'll always have like maybe 3-4 stacks. It's pretty good of damage resistance. Then for your weapon set, Mastercraft, it's the best bonus you can have. Extra damage mitigation. If everybody would fucking use it in the group, it would be awesome. But it's at least mandatory for support. It would be for DPS too, but you know, people don't like to use what's this. Boots of the Herald, also I would like to say like DPS can also run with the normal ones, but for tanks you don't really have another option. This one is really the best you can do for the group. So DPS, if the DPS had the Mastercraft weapons too, it would be awesome. If they're not running it, it's fine, but it's not optimized. The best group would be 5 Mastercraft in one group and 5 in the other one for a trial. So the Boots of the Herald for 5% defense, and it also gives 1% defense to every member of your group, not the whole instance, just your group if you're in a trial, so just keep that in mind. And for the artifact set, let's say, if you're not confident with your aggro, you can go with let me just is it the tactics? Okay, teamwork tactics. You can use this set if you got it from Echoes of Prophecy to increase your generated threat by 15% if you're not confident with your aggro. I'm okay with aggro, so I don't need extra sources for it. This build is really solid about aggro, so I'm not running any like Ban of Air or the Teamwork Tactics set, because I just don't need it to hold aggro. And so I'm running a broken set, pieces from different sets that came out with Echoes of Prophecy to increase my stats and bring them as high as I can. This ring is for the 5% awareness. This other one is for the AoE. It's a game changer, like Ring of the Condemned on AoE. It's awesome. You just run around, you create aggro. It's great. And then you have the shirt and trousers. Those are just the highest item level you can find. They will do the job. There's also another shirt which is fairly nice, which is the Cobalt Chainmail, I think it is, which gives defensive stats but has way lower item level. And that's it. For my artifacts, I went for 2 journals for the hit points and ability scores bonus. Neverwinter standard, because for the other one I didn't want the defense, so I just put the standard. And Demogorgon's Reach, but you can switch it with anything you want really. So like it won't hurt your stats. Just put whatever artifact your group wants you to run. If you're a tank and you in a trial, you might want to run a mitigation usually, but always listen to your host and what he wants you to run. So you've already seen my reinforcement kits as I was scrolling through the equipment and my enchantments. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm using Azures for more movement speed. In the defensive slots I have a mix of them, but they give really low stats. So if you have the wrong enchantments, don't worry about it. Just work with the rest of the equipment to try and match my stats, if that's what you want to do. Then for my main hand, I'm using Brazen Slash, which is your like go-to at will all the time. Offhand is stamina regen and crit avoidance. Armor. So, armor enchantment. I would use the Elven Battle, you know, but look at this. Like, while I'm using Elven Battle, it stops my Azures from working. The Azures that give me movement speed. Like, look at this movement speed. I'm trying to go in a straight line, and then I'll take it off. I immediately go faster. You can see from the movement of the character that it just goes faster. And I'm trying to put Eclipse on right now. You see, with Eclipse it still goes fast, unlike with Elven. So that's why I switched. Apparently Elven right now, as is being told me by feats in my guild, it doesn't... I don't know, it doesn't let your Azures work. It reduces your movement speed, which I really don't like. So I just switched to Eclipse, which is almost as good, so it's fine. I'm just gonna keep it on. And increases deflect by 8% and gives you infinite stamina if it drops low for a couple seconds. Weapon enchantment, use whatever your group doesn't have if you run in a set group. Otherwise you can just go safely for Bronzewood, Frost or Dread, or even like a different rank, like a Frost rank 13 will stack with a 14, Dread rank 13 will stack with a 14, and so on. That's it for the equipment, I believe. And now I'm gonna... oh yeah, sorry, I always forget about this. Overloads, you can put whatever, really. Doesn't matter if you want more more action points. But I'm just gonna show you, if you want to maximize your stats, what you should use if you're attempting something really hard. Bulwark of Brimstone for extra hit points, and Unholy Protection for crit avoidance and deflect chance. Or there's another one, which I believe it's Resiliency of the Depths, which reduces the damage you're taking by 5%. And that one is good too. So you could use a combination of those if you wanted to maximize your performance. Now for the powers, Threading Rush, always use it every like 8-9 seconds. It increases your thread, but it's not your main at-will. Your main at-will will be Brazen Slash. You use it all the time, it has high magnitude, and it also increases your stamina regen, which is nice since we're now using Elven Battle. One thing I forgot to show you is my stamina regen without the Elven Battle. It's 20.5% and my movement speed is 95%, which is really good. For your stamina regen, you can also use the color, which I'm not using because I use my colors on all my tunes, so I just use the outgoing healing for my healer. But you could replace it with a stamina regen one. Then for your encounters, Knight's Valor, always on. In trials, it allows you to absorb the damage from the hypo of the healer. It lets you, if you use it in the first artifact rotation, as I do, there are videos on my channel where I use it. And the healers need to stay away from you or just not be the closest person to you. If this Knight's Valor links to a DPS in the first artifact phase, you're not gonna lose aggro. Guaranteed 100%. Because that DPS will be building aggro for you on top of your aggro. So it's gonna be like a huge amount of aggro generated for yourself, and they just won't be able to steal any aggro. And that's why I said I don't struggle with aggro personally. Enforced Threat is your way of getting the aggro back. If you like die, if you like daylight, you die, whatever, you can get it back with Enforced Threat. You can also spam it to reduce the awareness of the targets by 10%, which means it's kind of like increasing the DPS combat advantage by 10%, which, as you may know, is a really good effect. Shield Throw is just to increase your threat. It increases your threat by a lot paired with a first feat, and also lets you get mobs from a ranged distance, which is good. For your daily, the only other encounter you can use is Anvil of Doom with Anvil of Challenge feature instead of Combat Superiority in Phase 2 in Zariel. If you're in Phase 2, you're gonna need Anvil because Enforced Threat will get aggro from both devils, and you don't want that. So you're gonna switch combat superiority to Anvil of Challenge and Anvil of Doom instead of Enforced Threat in Phase 2 in Zerial. Your dailies, Phalanx to protect your group during mitigation, or Superstorm, whatever it is. Determination paired with a 4th feat allows you to resist the attacks of the angels for 10 seconds when they go Sport mode. You know, when one angel dies and the other one just goes apeshit. You can resist for 10 seconds blocking their attacks, which is great. Second wind is your alternative to Determination if you're solo tanking Tom, because Determination doesn't give you infinite stamina for Alistair's orbs, so you need to use second wind instead. Class features, 10% movement speed, no brainer, and increased damage by at-wills for more aggro, because the other options are kind of bad anyways. So I went for that one. Anvil of Challenge only if you're using Anvil of Doom where I told you to. First feat is for shield throw. Second feat doesn't really matter because I don't use either of these skills. Third feat, combat balance. Combat balance, when you're not blocking and as a consequence you don't have the extra stats from digging in, it reduces your damage taken based on your ratings. Now, crit avoidance, deflect, and awareness. Let's see. My deflect is 63.9. My crit avoidance when I have Magistrate Patient on is 63.6. And my awareness when I have the extra 6,000s from the armor is 63.8. So I almost have the full 10% bonus, which is really good when I'm not blocking. Perfect block, this one is to allow Determination to resist to a lot of attacks and give you infinite stamina. The last feat doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Use whatever. I went for the top one. Whichever you like the most. Then boons, you want all the defensive boons. I also picked some extra resistance against undeads and fiends, which works in Phase 2 in Zerial. Obviously movement speed, you're gonna need it. And deflect Seth. Now, lingering medicine, because it can proc off Hellstones as well, and it's kind of nice. Then for tier 5, you need to go necessarily for Forte and Stamina Regen, especially since you don't have Elven Battle. For the Master Boon, Bloodlust, the only utility you have from this one is the rank 1 effect, which doesn't work right now. It's not working. So I didn't know about that actually, but it's not a big deal anyways. Rank 2 is useless, rank 3 is useless. So I just switched to Focused Retaliation instead, which gives me an extra 6% deflect and 6% deflect severity when it procs, which is really nice to increase your own stats. Guild Stronghold, power, doesn't really matter what you put here. Defense, critical avoidance, but this is just a matter of ratings. Like, you can arrange your ratings whatever, like however you want, really. And movement speed and utility, obviously if you're still dying to mechanics and stuff, you want to use Revive Sickness, and you can use pretty much whatever here. I just like the movement speed for AoE. Companions. So for your summoned companion, the most useful ones in this order are Spine Devil, Tutor, Lion, and Drizzt. You want to have all four of them in an ideal team, because it's the best one, so if it's missing, at least I have it. And then what do we want to see? This is my equipment, but again, it's just stats, so you can arrange your stats however you want. You're seeing what I'm rocking right now in case you want to copy my build step by step. You don't need to, you can do whatever and you will still be fine as long as you reach the same stats. Enhancements, use whatever your group needs. Armor break, dulled senses, vulnerability, or slowed reactions. Don't use a personal one. Now for the companion bonuses, War Dog, Golden Decoy is the best one in the offensive slot. Alternative, if you don't have it because it's very expensive, you could use a companion that gives you critical avoidance and deflection. I'm sure there's one, you gotta look for that one because I can't remember the name. I'm using Bruenor and Regis together because they increase each other's stats. It's really nice. And Moonshade Druid. Then for my mounts, Combat power, whatever the host tells you to use. Alternatively, you can just go for the Eclipse Lion, Swarm, Pegasus, whatever you want. Equip power instead, I went for deflection. Is a matter of rating, so you can work around it. These are my bonuses. Magistrate Patience for the reason I told you. Shepherd's Devotion is because when I use my daily, when I use my phalanx, I also buff my team with 1500 extra defense, which is nice since they're gonna need it. And movement speed is nice regardless. So yeah, it's just a good bonus to have all around. You're gonna find his utility multiple times. And then Gladiator's Guile, our stamina isn't always up, but when we are running from group of mob to another group of mob, then it will probably be pretty high. So we're gonna make use of the extra movement speed there. The colors, I use them all my tunes as I said, so movement speed, outgoing healing, crit save, encounter powers, and gold bonus. That's it. As I said, this is my setup, and in my potion bar I'm using Elstones, Chain of Scales, Alliance Battlehorn. If you don't have it, you can use the Hawk as well that you get from this event, or the Lyra's Bell of like the one for the recharge speed to allow your Spine Devil to have an higher uptime on the 10% debuff. I hope you guys like the build, and I hope I didn't forget anything as I usually do, but yeah. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and yeah, just have a good time, guys. Have fun tanking, and I'll see you the next time.